I'm 100% Italian and I cannot live without pasta. So I love pairing rosso di Montalcino or our NC as well with many different pasta dishes that can be also vegetarian ones. So not forcefully heavy meat dishes that we have in our Tuscan traditions that are amazing and remain my favorite ones, I have to say. But there are many nice pesto of dried tomatoes. Also, for example, with cheese, cacio e pepe, rosso di Montalcino, it's very easy to drink.
Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This is the next generation with me, McKenna Cassidy. For the next episode, I invite you to explore with me what young adults are up to in the Italian wine scene. Let's feast on our discussion of Italian wine and culture. Grab a glass with us. Chin chin. Hello, everyone. I'm McKenna on the next generation of the Italian Wine Podcast. And I'm joined today by Margherita Mascagni. Welcome, Marghe.
Hi, McKenna.
Margherita is joining us from Argiano in Montalcino, and we're so excited to get to know more about the estate today and to get to know more about her amazing story. She's originally from the town of Siena, and she started working at Poggio Antico before joining Argiano in sales, and now she's the global export manager for Argiano. But I think she does many more things than that because I think she knows everything about everything.
That's a lot, McKenna. So thank you so much, first of all. Let me thank you for asking me to join your pods because I've been listening to several of yours. And first of all, thank you for what you're doing because I love this idea of sharing experiences among the younger generations in the wine industry. So really thank you for getting involved and making, the teamwork among us.
Thank you.
What I can say is, yes, as you said, I was born in Siena, born and raised in Siena. That is a beautiful little gem in Tuscany. I'm not sure if you have visited the city.
I have been nearby, but I've not spent extended time. A friend of mine has studied abroad there, so I must go back in
Yeah, that's because you always end up in the middle of the vineyards and visiting
Yeah.
wineries around the city. But yes, anyway, so Siena is a small town, is a very charming medieval town with all its pros and cons, of the small centers. But it's a very nice place to grow up in and to develop passion for all the beautiful things we are born with. So art and Tuscan gastronomy and passion for wine because we are surrounded, as said, by fantastic wine regions from the north where the Chianti Classico is, in the south with Montalcino and Montepulciano areas. So there is a lot to learn about this as well.
You're surrounded as a child by some of the most acclaimed and highly admired places in the world. What was it like as a kid? I'm sure you were surrounded by people drinking wine, but were you involved in the art or did you just kind of take it for granted, not maybe realizing how people have such an affection for Tuscany when you're just born there,
Well, as Sienese people, we are all very proud and with very strong roots that we developed since our childhood because, in Siena there is the palio, the horse race. So the idea of art is born with us. When you win the palio, your contrada goes and celebrate first thing in one of the most beautiful churches that there is in Siena, Provenzano Church, or the Cathedral of Siena. So you really walk these beautiful medieval tiny streets every day of your life. So it's not every day of your life that you actually think about it, but you give a lot of value to this. And that's why maybe sometimes Sienese people look a little, not the nicest ones, a little close-minded. And yeah.
Because they know they have what's special.
Yeah, because they've always been aware since the Middle Ages that they have something special for sure. And, Siena used to be one of the most important cities in the Middle Ages, one of the biggest of Europe. with one of the first university of the world, one of the centers of finance, of art, I said, with the Gothic Sienese style. So since that time, a center of culture. And we can say that we still are in many senses. And now even more aware, I believe, that we have a fantastic tradition also in the wine business and the developing of viticulture.
And so were you thinking about joining the wine industry when you went to Trieste?
So yes, I'm born and raised in Siena, but I stood quite strong. After school, I wanted to study in another city and went to Trieste. That is another fantastic city in the northeast of Italy with this very different culture. So the idea of the Mittel Europa, so connection with the Balkans, the former Austrian Empire and Italy. So very, very interesting to know the sea influence as well. And there I studied at the interpreting and translation school. And then I have a politics and international relation background, actually. Then, the strong roots of Siena called me back. I went back to Siena, and there I fell in love with wine again because I've always thought, well, this is something that we are born with, exactly like art.
Right.
And I wanted to get to know more about it. And of course, did the sommelier course, did the WSET, so started to do the classic first steps. And also the very important first step was the work at Poggio Antico that I did for about 1 year, 1 year and a half, that helped me to get to know the product and Montalcino people and appellation even more. People, I say people because wine is always made by people, and you get to know different experiences, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. It's cool that you got that space to travel. And I was just in Trieste last weekend and it was gorgeous swimming in the sea. So I can only imagine. But then you were called back to the place you had grown up. And I know Poggio Antico is like just south of Montalcino. Is it closer to Tavernelle versus Argiano, which is closer to Sant'Agnello?
If you think of the Montalcino appellation, Poggio Antico is in the southwest area, so not so far from us in Argiano.
Oh, God.
But up the hill, just up the hill from where we are, about, I would say, not more than 5 kilometers.
Okay.
So it's a similar area, but different microclimate.
Yeah, they seem to have like pretty high altitude vineyards.
Yes, they are really one of the highest altitudes in Montalcino.
Because your altitude at Argiano is ranging from like 280 to 360-ish. So are they closer to 400 meters?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. That's wonderful. So you started in wine sales and hospitality with them, and then you met Argiano, and you were also a sales assistant there before your current role today. What attracted you to working for Argiano?
I believe that starting in the hospitality is one of the best way to get to know the wine, not only the wine, but also people that love wine. So you start to approach these from different aspects. So you have to know the wine, you have to know the production. You never know who do you have in front of you while you are explaining the wine. So you really have to take care of different details depending on this as well. So it was a very, very good school. And then I moved to Argiano because I wanted to work more in a sales position. And I had this opportunity here. And after about 3 years of work in the sales department at the winery, I became global export manager last year. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity that I got. And it's a very, very beautiful place. You've been here, so you can also share your experience. But it's definitely a unique beauty, the one of Argiano, the charm and the history that lays here. It's something quite not easy to find because of the history of the winemaking here as well,
Right.
and the unique art that we have.
Absolutely. I think every state in some way is quite blessed in Montalcino with a story of history and uniqueness, but I haven't quite found a gem quite like Argiano, with basically the history of the Pecci family since 1580 and now the Esteves family, and seeing the honor that they have placed on the history of the space while also kind of in a contemporary way making it a new home for the arts and the wine cellar, and this amazing treasure trove, I think. But not only of things, but of people. And that swimming pool overlooking the south of Montalcino, I think I've never seen anything like it. So for
Yes,
those who
yes.
are in the area and have the freedom to visit, I truly would quite highly recommend a stop at Argiano. And
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah.
it's been about 10 years that Argiano has been acquired by the Esteves family. So Argiano is one of the most historical producers and properties in Montalcino, belong to several different Italian families. And in 2013, Andre and Lilian Esteves, so from a more tropical country, from Brazil,
From
from Sao Paulo, acquired the property, and they've been fueling, investing, and regenerating the energy of this place. So, with the work of our CEO and winemaker Bernardino Sani and our agronomist Francesco Monari, so they've really started from the soil composition, investing in a study that helped us to analyze the soil composition of our property, and then to adapt all our decisions in the vineyard and in the cellar depending on this. So really focusing on the terroir.
Mhm.
And of the most interesting aspect of Sangiovese, so it's particular sensitive note. Sangiovese has very different expressions depending on where it's planted, and it's affected by anything that can happen during the production phases. So the location is very, very important.
Mhm.
And their work started in the vineyard. Also, this actually started even earlier. So to practice the best possible agriculture, to stop gradually to use chemical fertilizers in the vineyard. So we are now organic certified, but we like to say yes, organic, but we go beyond. So the word we like to use the most is regenerative, because this carries together the idea of reintroducing life in the soil, having a very lively environment in the vineyard. Because if you have life in the vineyard, if you have a very rich soil, you are more easy to reach balance in these ambience, balance and biodiversity. And when you have this, it's easier to have a balanced wine
Mhm.
and to let the wine express the most of the elegance and freshness and the different terroir expression of Sangiovese.
Yeah.
So they selected 6 different parcels of Sangiovese that we started to vinify and age separately. And since 2015, also we started the production of our single vineyard Brunello, that is Brunello Vigna
Mhm.
del Sole.
Oh my gosh, I love this wine. Well, it's so let's talk about that briefly. To your point of the delineation of different soil types, like there's a ton of different kind of sections of clay versus limestone marl on the property that are all intersecting, and Argiano has done incredible research to be able to discern the locations of those soils and their effect on the vines. And I think it's fascinating that the M1 clone of Sangiovese seemingly originally found in that 4.4 hectare vineyard where Vigna del Suolo is, perhaps registered now as the Banfi clone, being researched as perhaps the Argiano clone. It's an amazing story for this wine, this single vineyard Brunello, the Vigna del Suolo. It's an outstanding wine. I love that wine.
Yeah, so what we can say about this vineyard is that it's a special vineyard for us, planted in 1965. So it's been here for a very long time. And this actually also give us a longer sight,
Mhm.
give us an opportunity for the future, because from this vineyard, Francesco Monari, our agronomist, together with a team of the university, so they are actually selecting what will be in the future our Argiano clone, because he planted an experimental vineyard, selecting 100 plants from Vigna del Suolo, and from there, after a long experimentation, we will be able to select Argiano clones. We started the first vinifications last year, so we are about to start the harvest, and we will do the second one. So we will see the second stage of it.
So it's September 10th now, so you'll probably be starting harvest in the next week or two, do you think?
Yes, this year we will see, but it's been raining during springtime, May and June. So it's going to be more of a classic vintage for Montalcino, not starting early like we did in the last years. In early September, the first half of September, we'll probably start in about 10 days.
Okay. And then we can't move on without congratulating you on the wine of the year last year, the Argiano Brunello. It's an amazing acclaim and well-deserved. So congratulations. You also, of course, make the Rosso di Montalcino, but also some Super Tuscans. Let's talk briefly about Argiano NC and Solengo, the wild boar wine. I know that the Cabernet and the Petit Verdot are also planted on the property nearby the Sangiovese. Is that right?
Exactly. So first of all, thank you for the congratulations. This does not go straight to me. I prefer to say this. So it's a whole of a teamwork and especially of the people that have been shaping all these in the past 10 years is a recognition of 10 years of work that I just told you, starting from the vineyard, then to the cellar, refining the identity of Argiano wines, especially on the Sangiovese production. So with more elegance and terroir expression. And then I didn't mention it yet, but also fantastic renovation of the historical buildings that we have. So this is the result of a long time of works and commitment of the whole team. And yes, we don't like to speak too much about awards and prizes, but this finally to see an international recognition makes us all very happy. And yes, as you said, Argiano has a very traditional side that is the expression of Montalcino appellations, Rosso di Montalcino. That is definitely my favorite wine, I have to say.
Me
Rosso
too.
di Montalcino is a wine that really expresses the full potential of Sangiovese when it's young and pure with a short period of aging. And of course, there is Brunello and Brunello Vigna del Suolo that are one of our main focuses, and also the Super Tuscan side, because historically Argiano has been one of the very first producers in Montalcino to plant French varietals, and thanks to the collaboration of the former owner of Argiano, Noemi Marone Cinzano, with Giacomo Takis, Solengo was created. And Solengo is still one of the most iconic Super Tuscan, with this special blend that is based on Cabernet Sauvignon, about 50-60%, depending on the vintages, then Merlot and Petit Verdot, 20-25%, and the rest is Sangiovese. So very Bordeaux style, but with a strong identity, strong Tuscan and Mediterranean Montalcino southwest area. So really recognizing the terroir in this Super Tuscan as well. And also NC, that is so younger, more energetic expression of a Super Tuscan with this special juicy fruit that we only age for 6 months in barriques. It's Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Sangiovese. So also in the Super Tuscan, we don't like to push too much the oaky notes and aromas, and let express the different varietals.
Yeah, it sounds like not only the motivation in the vineyards, but in the wines to express this clarity of fruit and in the precision of winemaking by letting the vineyards and the grapes do what they want and what they're trying to do. And it sounds really like Francesco has this motivation of being a steward of the land and you a steward of the story. And I just love that motivation. I know, too, there's quite a wonderful dining experience to be had at Argiano, and I did want to ask you, like, being from Siena, what are some of your favorite food pairings with the wines from Montalcino, do you think, Margherita?
Well, in this, I have no special secret. So I'm 100% Italian and I cannot live without pasta. So, I have to say I love pairing, as said, Rosso di Montalcino or our NC as well with this very juicy, nice fruit with many different pasta dishes that can be also vegetarian ones. So not forcefully heavy meat dishes that we have in our Tuscan traditions that are amazing and yeah, and we remain my favorite ones, I have to say. But there are many nice pesto of dried tomatoes or yeah, anyway, also some pesto pasta with some rosso di Montalcino. It's very easy to drink. Or also, for example, with cheese, cacio e pepe. Well,
Yeah,
there are
who's
many,
gonna
many
argue with that?
recipes.
And when you travel to different countries around the world, like have you found cuisines in other countries that go quite well with your wines?
Totally, yes, yes. And of course, in some places it's easier to pair. If you go also, for example, to Latin America, Central America, well, it's easy, like in the US as well, with super Tuscan wine, with many barbecues and asado and churrasco in
Nice.
Brazil. So the meat dishes that you find all over the world are very, very easy to pair with Tuscan wines. But also, if you go to Asia, for example, so
Yeah, I was wondering.
Beijing duck, so
Yeah,
is perfect with the super Tuscan
it's
wines.
magic. I love this. And then how do you feel the next generation? I know we have a few minutes left, but how do you feel about kind of the relationship of the next generation of wine drinkers with such a timeless story and brand as and wines as Argiano? And how can there be a relationship and a bridge built between the next generation of 18 in Europe and plus 21s in the US, perhaps with Argiano? Is it the style of the wines that attracts new friends of wine, or maybe the story, or something else that could build this relationship?
So this is actually, McKenna, not an easy question. This is the new challenge of the next years for all of us in the wine industry, in wine sales. What I really think, and I still consider myself young, even if I'm not Gen Z, I'm a
You're
millennial, I
young,
have to
don't worry.
say. Yeah. But yeah, what I think is that young people want real things. So want to learn and to trust the people that they are dealing with. So I think that we have to tell more about our stories and to share more about our production. That is a story of passion that tells a lot the story of our territory and very committed to the sustainability challenges. So Argiano is organic, is plastic-free winery, carbon neutral in the emission of the production. All these are certifications, and we also got the Equalitas certification last year, showing our commitment not only in the sustainability of the environment, but also from a social and economic point of view. So we should focus more in telling our stories straight to the younger generation because it's the best way to get their audience. I don't think that young people like easy things. You just need to get their attention. And with the idea of making good wine, making it in the most sustainable way, you already got a part of it.
So well said. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think the word authenticity was the most Googled in 2023.
Exactly.
Transparency we crave. There is no gimmicks to be had, especially with your story. Oh, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Margherita. Is there anything else finally that you'd like to share with the listeners before we part today? I'm so delighted to hear your story.
Well, the only thing I can share is more about our teamwork. So also to say that Argiano is what is today because of the work of a fantastic team that is also so generous in sharing our work, and so we invite all the people listening to come and visit us because we love to have people here and share story about Montalcino and about our beautiful property.
And dine and taste wine under the stars.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Well, abundant blessings on your upcoming wedding and all things going on for Argiano. I want to thank you so much for your time. And I know that those listening can't wait to visit.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, McKenna, for your time. Thank you for your support. And it's a great pleasure to be working with you.
Ditto. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Tante grazie. Thanks so much for being here with me today. Remember to catch our episodes weekly on the Italian Wine Podcast, available everywhere you get your pods. Salute.